Morning, everybody. How we doing? I know how you doing. You know how I'm doing. Sam here, United People TV, here to kick off another week after what was just another example of United men against boys, watching us just get steamrolled against a team that wants it more than you. Physical levels through the floor, mental fragilities exposed, players making individual mistakes, United not being able to play out from the back with the ball, losing 4-1, could have been more, deserved it. But the positive is, there's only 6 games left in the league this season, all right? We've got Lyon on Thursday. It always was the bigger game. That's why players were dropped. That's why players were rested. I'm going to run through the reaction from Amorim, from Keane. I'm going to read the chat. You're going to have your say. And hopefully by the end of this show, you feel a little bit better about yourself. All right, let's see who's here from the mod and the member gang. Let's get on with the show. Good morning to I'm Potato gifting a couple of memberships down there. We've got Carl and Ant and Josh and Stephanie. Hopefully keeping the chat civil this morning, but it might not be. I'll be totally honest. I'm guessing the chat's going to be rather spicy. Fully seasoned. That's what I'm going to call the chat this morning. Zinny, we've got Darren. We've got Death Time, which is a very appropriate username, really, for the chat right now. Akash, Oliver, Sean, NJ, Lyle, Blake, Vince, good morning to all of you. I'll say a couple of things, actually, before I get the show started. One thing I want to pull up here, which I forgot to get up, actually. All right, 1 second there. I know it's unrelated, but I'm pulling it up. Big up to Rory McIlroy, man. Anybody else stay out to watch the Masters last night? Because I did. It didn't exactly make me feel any better. Seeing as I'm sitting there as a Rory McIlroy fan, I'm going in thinking, oh, make it nice and easy for yourself. Oh, never mind. Playoff as difficult as possible, but he somehow managed to come through it all, and it was awesome to watch. Incredible for him to complete the career Grand Slam, and a congratulations to Manchester United fan. So Rory, get you on the channel now. That's what you want to do. But congratulations to Rory. And also congratulations to the women's team, who have reached their 3rd consecutive FA Cup final, which is dead impressive, really, because considering the sort of underfunding, the problems that have existed in the women's team, it's a serious achievement. So fingers crossed for them that they can go and do the double, because they won it for the first time last year, I believe. Anyway, there is some good news coming out yesterday. It's just not really related to Manchester United's first team, because someone let me know what you think in the comments. Sean, you're saying proud to be Irish. It was unbelievable. The 18th. Hey, look, I can't believe he missed that part on the 18th, but he won it in the end. He won it in the end. As difficult as he had accidentally made it for himself, it was pretty special to watch. Unlike Manchester United. Now, it wasn't that I was full of doom and gloom and I was negative. My prediction for this game was that United were going to lose. It's the first thing I said in my match reaction, right? Nothing that I saw in that game was surprising. Nothing was new information. I think you can use the word shocking. But when you've been shocked so many times, you become desensitized to it. I was Manchester United's. Sorry to, come with this information at this time on a Monday morning. It was United's 14th loss in 32 games this season in the league. The best news that we've got from that game yesterday is the fact that there's only 6 games left in this league campaign. We will never have a worse year. Last year was our worst finish in the Premier League, but we all knew in our heart of hearts that it could get worse. And you know what's... I don't know what Spurs are doing. How are Spurs having a worse season than this? Are they just punching each other in the face every game? What are Spurs doing to somehow be worse than this Manchester United team in the league? I'm staggered, really. Let me know what you think, what you thought about that game yesterday. Sam, don't say that, you'll jinx us. Oh, man, look, this is the worst season we're ever going to have in the league. There is a reason why Ruben Amorim didn't want to come in mid-season. Absolutely clear as day as to why he didn't want to come in. Young C saying, morning guys, come to the therapy room. Well, welcome aboard. Everyone sit down. Tell me your problems. Pretty sure I know what your problems are. Stephanie, I didn't even look at that. Is that right? And that's even more mad. Spurs have scored 60 goals. They scored 22 more goals than us. And they're still below us. I have no idea what's going on there. Matt saying, I didn't watch the match. I was at work. Was it as bad as the scoreline suggested? I genuinely felt the first half was a competitive draw. There were moments in that first half where I thought United were the better team. Then we were the architects of our own problem. We overplayed it out from the back. Great goal from Newcastle. Isaac, little cheeky ball over the top for Tonali. Great finish. You can't really stop that. But then United had a good response. It was actually a really good goal that we scored. From Ugarte winning the ball, dribbling past a couple of players, to Delo's driving run, inverting in midfield, and then Garnacho, touch, good pass into the... It was actually a really decent equaliser. And then United did what United have done so many times this season. I remember it specifically happening under Ruben Amorim like 3, maybe 4 times, and it's probably more, but 3 or 4 times I can remember it. When we concede early goals, either in first or second halves, and it just, anything that you had a conversation about in the halftime team chat or before the game, it's like the players they just completely forget it. They crap themselves, and all plans go out the window. That's what that second half was. The second one was just hot knife through butter. Really, really easy. Ball to the back post. Squared back across. I think it was Harvey Barnes. 2-1. 3-1. A mistake from Mazraoui. It was a slip. Player slip, right? But don't worry, because you've got a centre-back and a central midfielder covering it. Never mind. That centre-back is Lindelof. And that central midfielder is Eriksen, who've got the combined pace of a chihuahua. Harvey Barnes just strolled through. And then the fourth, of course, by India, making a mistake. Errors, man. Jonathan, you're saying it was brutal. Watching Deadwood players is horrible. It just was horrible watching United in that second half. Ugly is the best word. I don't know what word. You can't really describe that game in one word. But repetitive. We've seen it so time and time again. This summer's... good luck. Good luck getting everything right that is needed this summer. I didn't think... When Erik ten Hag left, I said, this squad is better than what it looks like, man. I'm convinced that this squad is better than what it looks. And now I'm sitting here going in towards the end of the season thinking, there has to be another overhaul again. Has there ever been a club, ever, in the history of football, who has been so spectacularly good and consistently good at wasting money than Manchester United? We have to be the biggest wasters of our own resources compared to anyone. Now, you might say that Chelsea could fall into that category, but Chelsea actually have an ability to sell players. Let me read some of your comments out, and then we're going to go through the analysis. Rex saying, we are cursed in many ways, but I'm reminded that whenever United players starts to find the form, they get injured. Ahmad, Zirkzee in heaven, it's tough. Yeah, Zirkzee, I'll speak about later. Honestly, and you might think that I'm lying when I say this, but I feel more disappointed and more annoyed, in Zirkzee's injury than I am in losing to Newcastle. A team who have, beaten us in 5 out of the last 6 games that we played against them. I don't think anyone exposes United's physical weaknesses more than Newcastle. And every time they do it. And every time we let them do it, because we can't really stop them doing it. Eriksen's not got the legs to play in the midfield anymore. Well, we know that. We knew that before the game. Goalkeeper's not the problem. The whole squad is. There is not one... We can't make one signing this summer and go, boop, problem solved. That's what I mean when I say it's a hard summer. We're going to have to make... Realistically, next summer, we're going to need at least three of our big signings. We're probably going to make somewhere between 3 and 5 big signings this summer. At least 3 of them are going to have to be like game changers. We need some Bruno signings. You know, the impact that Bruno had when he came in. We're going to need that up front, in midfield, probably in goal as well. Bot down there saying Andre Onana needs to be sold. On a serious note, Matic was right. Onana's words didn't fit with reality before the game. Look, man, we'll speak about Bayindir. It wasn't as if Bayindir coming up with just... I don't know how... And this isn't Captain Hindsight speaking about Bayindir, man. Bayindir's best game was against Arsenal, but I watched him against Spurs. I don't look at Bayindir and go, oh, you know what? My fears of United's goalkeepers making a mistake, they're going to disappear with Bayindir. No, they're exactly the same. Exactly the same. This is what Amorim said after the game, right? Just listen to the question that he was asked and the response.
Disappointment and perhaps the anger within you at this moment in time. Once again, the criticism will come from outside, from pundits, from media people. Is the belief in your players that you can see that other people can't see? That the criticism will come, lack of running, lack of commitment in key moments. Do you understand that criticism?
I understand it. I don't care. Nothing is worse than lose games. So people can say whatever they want to say, and it's hard to I don't want to defend myself or anything like that.
Well, I can see the headline of like United Views live show this morning. Our fans turning on Amorim, and it always pisses me off when I see. Basically, you're giving cretins a platform by pretending to have a conversation and like pointing a finger at like 2 or 3. I don't know. In fact, I'll ask the chat. Like, where are you on Amorim? Okay. My opinion is abundantly clear, has been abundantly clear since day one. You think I'm going to be judging him? And what? Oh, yeah, get rid of... Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, woo! No. Am I seeing issues with the build-up? Yep. Have I seen Amorim use different approaches this season? Yep. Has Amorim used a deep block far more than he wanted to? Yep. Are United capable of doing anything else? Not really. That's why we are where we are in the league. I'm fully in the camp of Amorim, man. As I said, and I'll say this again and again and again and again. There is a reason why he asked the club directly, can I take this job in the summer? Full awareness of what was going to happen. And I think the thing that's annoyed me about that Newcastle game is there has been genuine. Now it's baby steps. Fucking hell, when you are 14th, 15th, sod knows where we are in the league. When you've lost 13 games in a season, it has to be baby steps. But over the last 7 games prior to that game there, against Newcastle, United had showed an element of consistency in the overall team performance. The results still hadn't got there. But, like, look at the last... Right. So United have conceded 6 goals in our last 2 games. Do you want me to run through how those 6 goals were conceded? You don't? Well, sorry, I'm going to do it anyway. Onana decided to miss the ball completely against Lyon. Onana decided to just parry it straight back to the feet of Zirkzee. Both goals completely down to individual errors of our goalkeeper. 4 goals against Newcastle. The first one, United overplaying it out from the back. Mistake was made. They scored as a direct consequence of the chance they got because we lost the ball. Okay, second goal. Just down to quality. I wouldn't say that was down to an individual mistake. It was just they came out of the second half. Probably that's the goal out of the 6, which is at least down to an individual mistake. Next one, Mazraoui slips. That's an unfortunate error. Nobody has the capability of getting back to cover. Last one, Bayindir just kicks it to Joe Linton's head. We concede as a consequence. At elite sporting level, which the Premier League is, you cannot make individual mistakes. You can do it once in a while, and it stands out like a sore thumb. But United, it just... And that's where you go on to this conversation here. And I've had my frustrations with Roy Keane this season. I'm not going to bring up anything he said about Bruno Fernandes because for some reason he's decided to try and throw another little jab out at Bruno. It almost feels personal between Keane and Bruno. It really does. But when it comes to the overall analysis of what makes a Manchester United player, and especially from the minimum standards required, that's where Roy Keane just preaches the gospel.
But can we tweak it? Can we change it a little bit? Because if you keep getting beaten, and again, it's on the back of last season, obviously that's not all in this manager, then something's wrong. The players can't cope with it. There's players playing for Man United today. I go back to Eriksen. United's midfield, they're not mobile. They can't go around the pitch. Newcastle's midfield was more powerful. They were stronger. They were getting stronger as the game was going on. But Eriksen should have left Man United maybe 1 or 2 years. United are still going back to the players who I think are a major problem. Are these good players? I think some of them are. But are they good enough for Man United? Absolutely.
And this is the thing. This is the repetitive, like, boring conversation, right? What are we here now? What, April 2025, and we're still talking about how Eriksen isn't mobile, how Manchester United's midfield is getting overpowered by the opposition. This is a problem which has existed for, I mean, I don't know how many years. When was the last time you would go back and say Manchester United had a powerful midfield? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. You might have said it maybe when we had Matic and Herrera and maybe Pogba. But even then, Pogba, the physical side of the game was never Pogba's strongest quality. Matic was in the twilight of his career. And Herrera was, decent enough. Who else past that? I don't know. I really, really don't know. But they just can't cope. That's probably the best word to use to describe United's players there that Roy Keane said. It's not that I feel these players are downing tools. It's just that their 100% is probably about 75% of Newcastle. And that's what I said in my match reaction yesterday, right? As soon and then you can use Newcastle as an example, or you can use any other team that's done it to us. When a game is played at a certain level, United have an ability to match and cope with that demand. But when United face a team that does have that relentlessness and they have that extra 10, 15, 20% that we just don't have in the tank, then we can't do anything. We cannot cope with it. We cannot match it. And it's not because their attitudes are wrong or mentally they're checked out or they're downing tools and they can't be... It's like they physically can't do it. So, like, you can try and try and try and try and try. But it's not about the attitude or the application. It's just not possible. You can get into a Ford Fiesta and you can try to go 120 miles an hour if you want. Put everything into it. It's just not capable of doing it. So you're banging your head against a brick wall. And you're talking about the putting the youth into midfield. Like Harry Mass, of course, starting his first Premier League game is a big old game for him to come in. I actually thought Harry Mass played quite well. Toby Collier's injured right now, I think, isn't he? And you look at who else was on that bench yesterday from a midfield perspective. Don't actually know. Oh, man. It's so garbage when United come up against just it's not even it's just a team of athletes. You are professional athletes. It is the minimum basic requirement. Surely. What? No, it is now. You have to be athletes in the Premier League. You didn't have to be always. You didn't have to be always, but you do now. If you look at the correlation of Newcastle's rise over the last three or so years under Eddie Howe, it's in direct relation to bringing in those styles of footballers. Obviously, the conversion of Joe Linton, that was a big one. But the players that they've signed, they're all workhorses. Could you imagine United doing like a public bleep test? They would be gasping. I mean, you always are at the end of a bleep test. It's just so. Look, and that's why you're seeing stuff like this, right? Well, this is more towards this is more about the lack of goal scoring. United interested in signing Matheus Cunha, who had a good old bit of fun on Instagram with this. I don't need to have too much of a comment on Cunha today, but there's too much to speak about after the game against Newcastle. Maybe we can have a conversation about Cunha later this week, okay? Did Aiden Heaven come off the bench? No, he didn't come off the bench yesterday. Luke Shaw came off the bench. Don't think Aiden Heaven did. Or did he? Bloody hell. If he did, I didn't say that. Yesterday, I've been here. Subs. No. Why do people lie? Oh, I suppose he was on the bench. But yeah, it was on the bench. It was good to see him there. Let me go and read. Mohsin, you're saying Dorgu's is the right signing in that direction. Someone help me down here. Tom saying thanks for the 10-year anniversary. Jeez, man. Yeah, David Beckham was an absolute physical monster. Don't talk to me about Morgan Rogers, Jonathan. Don't get upset. That's that. I think that would be my dream signing this summer. Would be Morgan Rogers. Did I miss any discussion on Dalot? From an athletic, and this is the thing, that Dalot's an athlete, but that's not enough on its own, because you've actually got to be a good footballer at the same time. So that's what I mean about when I say it's like minimum requirements. I'm not saying that United should just go out and sign 10 runners and all of a sudden our problems will be resolved, because it wouldn't be the case. Because, for example, when you get United get into these positions, right? This is ultimately what Amorim wants to have in his build-up. He's got his two wide centre-backs on the left and the right. He's got Ugarte there as one central midfielder, and he's got the third centre-back, who has moved up from this position to go over there to create two in midfield. And then you've got Dalot down here. But it's so easy for Newcastle to stop it. 1 second there. Yeah, thank you very much. I don't know why it always does that. Ugarte there, marked by Joe Linton. Who's that? I don't actually know. Lindelof getting marked. You can't pass it to either of those two central midfielders. You've got your two wide centre-backs, but there's no central progression possible because you don't have the technical qualities of players to receive the ball under pressure and to play through that situation. So you find yourselves repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. That's what I mean when I say it's not just about runners, but that's the minimum basics. And when you don't have the minimum basics, you get performances and you get results like that. That's the first priority for United this summer. Make us an athletic team. Like that in that game yesterday, that point right towards the end, when Tonali was running in like the 89th minute, and he didn't look like he was running and he was about to fall on his knees. He was running and still had energy, still drove it into the corner, still had power in his legs. In the 89th minute, didn't look massively out of breath. It's so crap that we still have to have these conversations. Such utter basics. How is it that we have spent this much money? Like, what do we do? How have we signed so many players who just aren't capable of being elite level athletes? How do we keep missing so much in that sense? What do we do? Because I've seen this man manage at Sporting. So you can't tell me it's down to Ruben Amorim and the way that he manages and the overexertion, because we don't play anywhere near as loose as we did against Ten Hag. I think defensively we're actually largely a lot more resolute, and then you go and do that yesterday. I think the team's shape is far more compact because he knows he has to be. We're not leaving huge gaps in midfield that we've got to sprint back and cover and getting loads of muscle injuries as a consequence. It's just painful. It's just painful. It's so crap. Oh. What are we saying down here? I don't think any player in this team, including Bruno, is safe from being sold this summer. There's a couple of unsellables, but really, I'm not going to be upset to see 95% of them going. Sam, what do you think is going through the minds of the higher-ups? What would their honest opinions be right now? I think their honest opinions are they knew that this season would be tough. They definitely underestimated how tough the job was that they were giving Ruben Amorim. They're all praying, absolutely praying that Amorim can somehow navigate a miracle in the Europa League. And it has to be a miracle. It's going to be a miracle. Yeah, we were the better team against Lyon on Thursday. We should have won. But someone in this team is going to do a balls up. Someone, whether it's going to be Onana, whether it's going to be Lindelof and Eriksen chasing shadows, whether it's going to be somebody else missing an open goal. Guarantee you someone on Thursday absolutely ballses up something. Red card coming out of nowhere. Something like that is going to happen on Thursday. It's like self-induced terror. And you're saying with Ruben only having 1.5 years, is that what his contract? I can't remember what his contract was. This summer has to just, we have to just please just get it right. It's like, do your job. Is it really that hard to recruit properly? I mean, apparently so. Apparently so. Because United just haven't been able to do it. But if you just get your recruitment correct and you push players like Anthony and Sancho and you're going to have to push. You're going to have to be a bit aggressive. Be the arsehole. Be the club that Eriksen... Well, we won't do it at this point now because Eriksen's leaving on a free, but these footballers don't have to be your friends for life. You want to be ruthless, you're going to have to do it. Accept a bit of a loss. Move them out the door. Or you're just going to get another manager here who's going to fall by the wayside because you didn't do enough with the squad. Sure, he can improve in... Well, he can improve. We're like bloody 14th, 15th, 16th. Eamon, yeah, look, Keane was bang on with his comments there about the players. But we know that. We knew that. And this squad is just... This squad is so capable of imploding that you just can't trust them. You never can. And I'm looking forward to when I can trust my team properly again. I'm sure the manager is too. If Udom, you're saying, does Barca and PSG have such physicality in their team? Dude, have you not watched them this season? They're just relentless. Dark Rose saying, Sam, any thought of Amorim last night? I thought Amorim, going into the game, I completely agree with the Onana decision. What other changes did he make? Amas getting an opportunity. I thought that was a pretty bold decision, but I thought Amas actually played pretty well. What other changes did he make? Zirkzee came in from the start. So that was a fair decision. Leaving Eriksen on. I can't even remember who was on the bench yesterday. Let me quickly check this. I would probably have taken Eriksen off sooner if I'm being honest. When did he go off? Did he even go off? Wait, Eriksen played the full 90. Jeez. But he was resting Casemiro for Thursday. Like, grand scheme of things, our result changes sweet FA about our season. Nothing new was learnt. Another spectacular defeat. The players aren't physically capable. Individual mistakes all over the shop. We've seen this how many times this season? Nothing new. Absolutely nothing new. The biggest problem from that game yesterday was that. Absolutely. And someone said it earlier, and you're probably right, man. Every time somebody manages to overcome some form of adversity, or someone looks like a little bit of a bright spark, a little bit of a, you can, never mind, Ahmad, boom, out for the season. Never mind, Heaven, boom. Well, at least he's not out too long, but he's been gone since. Zirkzee, finally, somebody might score a goal. Never mind. Out for the season. You will not see him play again this season. So that's Zirkzee completely gone. Chido, of course, is not registered for the Europa League. So all of our central attacking goal-scoring threat is Rasmus Højlund, who is just an absolute ghost of a footballer right now. Like Højlund, man, if you... I don't think United will be able to get enough money to consider moving Højlund on next season, but there is a possibility you could see him sent out on loan to Serie A to maybe take that wage off our books for a year, see if he can increase his value, and then sell him on. Yeah, that could happen, but then we need to sign, two? We need to sign 2 attackers anyway. But it's just like, oh, great, man. Fantastic. And that's just like... United have always had that rotten luck in recent times, man. At least Garnacho scored yesterday. Sure. It was a pretty decent finish from him. It was one of those finishes you didn't have to try too hard, just like stroked it into the corner. Kari saying prerequisite for a new signing is 0 injuries. Look, we got Ugarte, who... his injury record. He had an injury record before. Bruno Fernandes is obviously the freak of nature. Ahmad has been training, but he's the only pictures we saw in the video we saw was him training on like the not anti-gravity, but the treadmill that sort of takes the weight away from your feet. So I don't think we'll be seeing Ahmad anytime soon. But yeah, I'm taking this out a positive from yesterday. Harry Massman. How many players have made their debut this season now? Aiden Heaven, Harry Mass, Chido. Who else? I think I'm missing a couple. Did Kone play? Did Kone play? I can't remember. Either way, this is what Amorim was saying about Amas. You say, look, he started in one of the toughest stadiums against a team that is in a good period. I think he did very well. He must continue, and we must help all these young people to reach a higher level of performance. Did Collier make his debut this year? I suppose it was the preseason, wasn't it? Yeah. Yara doesn't really count. It was a signing. Mustafa, I don't think I'm against that suggestion, if I'm being totally honest. You're mentioning Mason Mount going in as a false 9. 6 games left this season, ladies and gents. 6 games left in the league this season. Paul, you're saying you're talking sense, Sam. The panelists are talking because they're paid for it. There's nothing really to say that's worse form than United's. Look, what Roy Keane is saying about the players isn't wrong. It's their job to be pundits after the game. It's my job to be a pundit after the game. I sit there and I watch the game. Sometimes my head is hot. Sometimes I'm overly excited and I get swept away in the occasion. That's what happens when you're a fan. All right? You just get swept away in the emotions of sport. The highs and the lows. And immediately after games, well, you get those more than anything. But that Newcastle game changes absolutely nothing of our season. It doesn't change how big this game is on Thursday. It doesn't now make the game bigger because we got spanked by Newcastle. All right? The size of the game against Lyon is exactly the same now as it was before kickoff yesterday. Of course, the conversation going into the game is ever so slightly different. We've now just got steamroll 4-1. There's going to be a nervous expectation going into this game. But Onana got dropped because of his mistakes against Lyon. Bayindir came in. What do we get? Another goalkeeping error. And it was a shame. First half, I thought Bayindir played pretty decent, made a good double save. But I thought he played okay. Some of the passes that he was doing out from the back, it seemed fine. And then just a mistake came. He got too cute. United were 3-1 down. Effectively, what Bayindir was trying to do was he saw Lindelof here and he thought, you know what I'm capable of doing? Just a little dink into that space there. That's all he was doing, right? I can't not Bayindir for trying it because I think I've been saying this quite a lot, that we need to have Onana find these sorts of balls that can beat the first level of the press. That's what he did yesterday. He just didn't do it. He just got it wrong. It was just an individual mistake. And now you've gone from Onana being the problem, well, not the problem, but Onana being a problem, which he was and he still is, to Bayindir coming in, getting his opportunity, United losing 4-1, not as a consequence of Bayindir directly, but that fourth goal was. It's just United, isn't it? It's just United. It's not Bayindir's fault. It's just United. It's someone else comes in, Heaton comes in, Heaton will make a mistake. It's just United. It's just like an acceptance. No one's... doesn't matter who's in goal on Thursday. I'm not going to have full belief in them as a fan. Could be Onana coming back in. Could be Bayindir keeping his spot. Could be Tom Heaton giving his first chance. Doesn't really matter who it is. It's just my mind going into it. I'm just going to be sitting there going, please just don't. I don't want to have a conversation about my goalkeeper today. All right? Don't want to talk about... If you don't talk about your goalkeeper, he's had a good game. I still find it... I can't laugh about it, but I still find it hilarious that we've paid so much money for a goalkeeper whose main characteristic was playing out from the back with a ball, and we brought him into a team. We did this kind of very similar style under Erik ten Hag, where our central progression just wasn't possible because we just got pressed out of it. Man, it's tough. What a season, man. What a season. We still could win the Europa. I mean, Athletic Club, I'd have... Well, people didn't have much belief about United going to Lyon. And that second half was excellent. JP, done with your whining. Vamos then, my friend. The door is over there. My live show. If I want to moan about how crap my football team is, I'm going to moan about how crap my football team is. If you don't like it, I'll feed his pet. What do you want me to do? Come in here and not talk about how crap United are? I don't know. Thursday's a big one. Thursday always was a big one. As I said, that losing to Newcastle doesn't change that. I wonder what changes he will make. I think Casemiro comes straight back into that midfield. I think it should be Casemiro, Bruno, and Mount. Højlund starts up front. Don't concede early. Use the crowd. Try and control the game of football. Very, very easy. Very simple when you say it like that. Very, very simple. Inter had good defenders, so Onana was thriving. We've got some good defenders. Some may be good, some maybe shit. It's been a tough old season, people. Let's just make sure that we don't all start arguing with each other, all right? Because I think there's enough problems that we don't need to have a United fan-based civil war. Yeah, and if we lose against if we lose against Lyon on Thursday, that's season done. Vamos, game, set, and match. Don't know why I'm saying Vamos so much this morning, but apparently I am. Someone's saying how long Zirkzee out for. Dude, you see injuries like that. As soon as a player pulls up mid-run, grabs the back of his hamstring, you know full well that he's out for a few weeks at the very, very, very least. But even then, probably longer because if you come back too soon with an injury like that, reoccurs and it's much worse. I'd be very surprised if we saw Zirkzee kick a ball for us now for the rest of this season. I think Zirkzee's season is done. Apparently it's going to be a massive tifo in the Sir Alex Ferguson stand on Thursday. What? Was it Barcelona where we had the big Believe one? Night where Scholes scored that goal. I remember that one. Tyler, do I think this team deserves Champions League football next season? Said it earlier, can you imagine that team going up against PSG or Barca right now? More than squeaky bum time. But in the grand scheme, this might sound like a really stupid thing for me to say. I'm going to say it anyway. Where's Barry? I haven't had Barry here in a while. I have to get him back because it's been so crap. But I don't want United to win the Europa League just so we're playing Champions League football next season. I don't think we're capable of playing Champions. I know we're not capable of competing in the Champions League next year. But in terms of bookending this season, giving Amorim the ability to motivate these players, to motivate the squad, the extra budget it will give us, I'm more focused on the benefits of that than the Champions League football itself next season. That's the way that I'm looking at it. Thinking that United are going to compete in the Champions League next year after what I've watched this season is laughable. We're not. We'd probably go, hypothetically we get into the Champions League next year, we'd probably finish somewhere around mid-table in the groups. We get into a knockout and we might lose it against someone like Juve. I don't know, something like that. That's probably how it would go. Darren's saying it's not like you to be so down. It's just, it was as ugly as a defeat as it could have been yesterday. Right? I knew what Newcastle could do that was better than us, and it's exactly what they did. And they did it earlier this season to us, and it's just I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted about having the same conversations about the whiffy players that we've got. Just, if it's not the mental fragilities, and that's exactly what that second half was. As soon as that second goal went in, pew, they switched off. And as soon as you're mentally coming down a couple of notches, you can cover for that mental fragility weakness if you're physically just ready to commit yourself. You'll pull yourself back up. But if you've got that mental fragility and you're physically not capable, you spiral downwards. You can't help yourself. You can't stop yourself. As much as you might want to, and I think these players want to, you can't stop it. And that's what United's second half was there yesterday. It's really what United's second half was there yesterday. As I said, the good thing is there's only 6 games left in the league this season. Right, let me go and read a couple of your comments out and read the chat, and then we'll wrap this one up, and then I'll get today's lunchtime video done. Yeah, I don't think Newcastle played incredibly well yesterday, and I think they played like Newcastle do and have. That is Newcastle right there. Boom. They didn't do anything out of the ordinary yesterday. I thought the Isaac to Tonali pass was special, and that was a great goal. Harvey Barnes was a good finish. I mean, other than that, it was just like a walk in the park performance from them. Almost like a training exercise at points. Nishant saying a qualification for the Champions League is only important to get more funds, to strengthen the squad. Of course, that's what I mean. I would not look forward to watching this United squad in the Champions League next season. If we manage to win the Europa and we manage to have a good summer, my opinion on that will shift and change most likely. Because I'll be thinking, ooh, now I'm excited to see how much progression we've managed to get by having a good summer. What a season, people. I don't mean that in a polite way. Last season was our worst ever. It's like, when we had that Moyes season, I was like, well, welcome. My mate, Ben Griff, who unfortunately is a Newcastle fan, and thank you very much for him not messaging me yesterday, because that would have pissed me off. But he said, as soon as Fergie leaves, I can't wait for you to understand what life is like as a normal football fan. And obviously, he was correct. It's the only time in his life he's been correct. But that Moyes season, and then last season with Ten Hag, and we got the FA Cup, and it was a hell of a way to end an awful season. But this season, just... Call me foolish, but it's not made me change my belief in Amorim. I can see what he wants to do, but I can see the limitations that exist inside this squad again. I think Ten Hag had those limitations as well, but Ten Hag had absolutely no flexibility. Ruben has made us more of a defensive team as a consequence of this team not being capable of doing what he wants going forward. Bring on Thursday, all right? I'm going to get my lunchtime video out today. I'm going to run through the game in a little bit more detail, separately, away from the chat. Call me moody if you want this morning, but ladies and gents, spoiler alert, I'm a United fan. I'm watching my team getting dicked, steamrolled, and I'm bored of it. It's a bad one. It's not shocking. Have we seen that before this season? We'll probably see it again. I don't know what games we've got left this season. We've got 6 left. We're probably going to get another performance like that. Prepare yourselves. But Thursday, that's the big one. All right? Thank you all for tuning in. I'm not saying thank you to United for being United because you're absolutely awful, but Zed, you're saying you were at the game yesterday. That team needs to be offloaded. I've made the trip up to St. James's Park once. I had to sit in a home end. That's when we won 3-0. Was it Johnny Evans scored a header? I think cleverly that's when he scored a cross. Fair play making that journey. All right? Take it easy, everybody. Have a good day. And try not to think about United.